Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. So glad to have you all watching us tonight on Open Heart Closed Case Night. This is a very hard night for us because it's in remembrance of our daughter, Shanice Milton, who was killed on the 27th of May, 2015 in Southeast Washington, D.C. Her case has still gone unsolved. We have with us tonight a very special guest, and I am very glad that he is with us tonight. He is none other than Sheriff Richard Mack, and he has been he had been a sheriff for a long period of time out in Arizona, served in narcotics, has been in every area of policing that we can think of. He is now, ladies and gentlemen, the founder of an organization that we would encourage you to get to know. It's called the Constitution. Forgive me. I had this together, y'all. Forgive me. It's the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. Richard
There you
Mack
go.
is the founder of that. I want to introduce to some and present to others Mr. Richard Mack. It's a tremendous honor and pleasure to have you with us tonight, sir. Thank God for you being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you. And my heart and condolences go out to you about your daughter. What a horrible, horrible experience that must have been for you and your family.
Indeed, it was, and I really appreciate your condolences. Listen, you have been a peace officer for a long period of time, although you still look very young. And and you have served uh, in Arizona, you have served in Utah, and you have been pretty much a leader in the field of policing, and your national leadership is looked upon with great reverence and respect. I want to ask you, first and foremost, when others would prefer to go golfing every week, why do you spend your retirement time as a national leader on policing?
Well, I'm trying to save America, and I'm trying. My ultimate goal is to do that uh, in a peaceful manner. And if we have our nation's police on the side of liberty, then we can take back America, take back our God given rights, and do it in a peaceful manner. If you could imagine the people of America uh, committing acts of civil disobedience and having the police support them and help them and doing it with them. And my favorite story uh, of American history, at least in recent times, I was 3 years old when Rosa Parks refused to get to the bus. And I want to ask every peace officer in this country, if you were taken back in time to December 1st, 1955, Montgomery, Alabama, would you have gotten on the bus and arrested Rosa Parks? Or would you have been a true guard of the Republic? Would you have been a liberty officer and an oath keeper officer, sat down next to her, shake her hand, and escort her home safely, and then give her extra patrol to make sure nobody messed with her and her family in the coming days? That is a true constitutional peace officer. That would be a true constitutional sheriff. We don't enforce stupid laws, and we certainly don't enforce laws of hate and prejudice. And that's what we're after today. Officers who can think, officers who can feel and have compassion and just enforce the law, the supreme law of the land, God's law and the Constitution.
Now, you're using terms like God's law in the Constitution in a day and age where a governor issues an edict that says that you cannot use a motorboat, but you can use a canoe. You cannot cross the street to see your family members and friends, but individuals from outside the state can come in to their second home. Uh, it's first and foremost, I have to ask you, in this period of pandemic, have we lost our minds? I guess in the most curt way of asking.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, Ken. We have lost our way, and it'd be pretty simple to get back. Just follow the rules. There's 10 of them. It's
Mhm.
called the Bill of Rights. When I talk about God's law, the Constitution tried to emulate those. So if we're enforcing the Constitution, which we have all sworn an oath to do,
Yes.
it's pretty simple. The job of a sheriff, a job of a peace officer is pretty simple. Keep your word, keep your oath, and follow the rule book. You know, we have sheriffs enforcing orders from governors that aren't even laws. Those have never been passed by a legislature, and they're really just suggestions and guidelines. They're not laws. And
Exactly.
in fact, one of my other favorite statesmen, um, Martin Luther King, said that we all have a responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, we all have a responsibility and duty to disobey unjust laws.
Mm.
Well, let me take that a little step further.
Yes.
There is no peace officer in this country. There is no lawman. There is no patrol officer. There is no sheriff. There is no one in public service that has a duty or any kind of moral responsibility to enforce unjust laws. And those who say, well, that's for the courts to decide. No, it's for you to decide. You took the oath of office. You can't abdicate your oath of office to someone else. You can't take the stand and swear an oath and just say, well, my sergeant told me not to tell the truth. Or
Mm.
or say the chief of police told me not to tell the truth. Once you take an oath, it is yours and yours alone to fulfill. And so we're all about putting the supreme law of the land supreme. You know, there's no
Exactly.
other laws that supersede the Bill of Rights. Come on.
Now, Sheriff Mack, here's the discord, and it's as simple as being on the street. You've been on the street before. You know
Mhm.
it's a different life than going before cameras and being in meetings with council members and mayors and things. There is
Yeah.
a life of the street, and there is to be a respect between the citizen and the peace officer. And yet there is such a grand amount of discord and disrespect and distrust of police and sheriffs and law enforcement officers in our standard day. Does it help when those who have the power to legislate, to adjudicate, and also to executively enforce, compel you all to enforce laws which go directly against the principles of the Constitution?
Well, it happens too often. Um, but every peace officer has a responsibility to say, no, I won't do that. And I
Wow.
know that that's not an easy thing to do. But we all have a responsibility to do that, just like with Rosa Parks. The
Mhm.
officers that arrested her should have said no. And they should have gone back and said, you know what, Chief? Do you know what, Lieutenant? I couldn't arrest her. She really hadn't done anything wrong. You really want me to arrest an American citizen for not giving her seat to a white man? I thought this whole system, our system of justice, was based on equality, and that we're all created equal, and that we're all God's children. Why would I do that to this woman? And maybe you'll get something going here. Maybe you'll start a new norm. Maybe you'll start a new norm of friendship and true Christianity and true enforcement of what our entire Declaration of Independence was established upon. Equality. Wouldn't that be great
That
if
would be
we actually
terrific.
live the notion? Yeah, I do too. And I think we get our respect. I think we earn our respect from the community. Not one group of people, not one particular race, but everybody's going to respect an officer who lives his oath of office, who adheres to the Constitution. We're not going to confiscate guns in this country
Mm-hmm.
because the Second Amendment forbids that. And we're not going to arrest a minister for having church because the Constitution forbids that. And for God's sake, isn't there one principle of freedom that we can all agree on would be held sacred and that we would never violate it? And would that not be the reason we formed America in the first place, or at least one of them, would be religious freedom? And that we will never violate that, no matter if we have a coronavirus pandemic or whatever. I don't care if it's Hurricane Katrina. We don't violate the Constitution, especially that one. But there's 27 God-given rights listed in the 10 amendments known as the Bill of Rights. There's 5 in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't violate religious freedom. That's for us in government. That's for us to protect from other people in other parts of government. And then freedom of speech. We won't violate that. And we won't violate the press. The
And
press does all the time.
and I want to go as far as to ask you in this regard, the freedom of
Okay.
assembly. We mentioned worship,
Yeah, no kidding.
but
Yeah.
in Elizabeth, New Jersey, last weekend, police were using drones to force people out of parks. And I got to ask you, is at first an invasion of the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution, as well as the First Amendment of the Constitution? And then, secondly, if you
Yeah.
all do that as peace officers, how am I to trust you in cases of murder and incest and rape and other things of that nature?
Yeah.
Please go on.
A great point, Ken, because if we can't keep the little things, how are the people going to trust us with the important things?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's vital that we get back the trust we once had in this country. And so many times we fail to do that. And trust is earned. It isn't there just because you put on a gun and a badge and a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be earned. And I believe that where we've made a huge mistake in earning that trust are the police academies across the country.
Wow.
We don't train properly in those academies. I mean, we learn how to write a ticket and we learn how to kick in a door and we learn how to put handcuffs on people. But have we really learned about the principles of freedom that America was based on? Have we learned to be a part of that? Have we learned that our ultimate goal in any facet of government is liberty? It's not numbers, it's not traffic tickets, it's not DUI statistics. And that's another problem right there. How do we respect from the community when we run Gestapo like Nazi type DUI checkpoints where we stop everybody on the road and they have to show us their papers and we have to be able to check whatever we want for DUI enforcement, and it's such an obvious violation of the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. And
Now,
so I don't get where we think we can keep doing those sorts of, well, the Supreme, no, sheriff and chief of police, you run your office. The
ex-
Supreme Court does not run your office. The Supreme Court did give some latitude there, but it was wrong. And you should know it's wrong. And if we can't randomly stop people for any kind of check or go in somebody's home, how about we start going in every home that we want to and start interviewing children to see if they're being abused by the parents?
wow.
Isn't child abuse the worst thing that goes on in our country? And shouldn't we be just randomly checking that? Then how can we randomly check cars on the road on New Year's Eve for DUIs? Come
Now,
on.
now,
The types of things we're talking about.
Sheriff Mack, a lot of people, and I have two questions here for you, and they're just opposed to one another. A lot of people who are in the police industry know that they have
Mhm.
to answer to a mayor, they have to answer to a city council, and those institutions do not necessarily believe in the Constitution. They believe in what is the power of the press and public relations, how they
Yeah.
look good. And so I got this question for you. You are a principled man of God. You are speaking great truth and encouraging peace officers around the country to uphold the Constitution as according to their oath. But you're also saying to them, risk your job. Is that the message, that you have to risk your job in order to uphold the Constitution?
Oh, yes, and we have plenty of constitutional sheriffs out there that will hire you. You know, you might need to move, but you'll maintain your integrity, and you'll maintain your self-respect, and you'll be able to look your children and wife in the eye and say, you know what, I've done the right thing. And you know what, there's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
If you put the right information in front of them, they'll do the right thing. And so if you have a mayor and city council that doesn't want you around because you believe in American ideals and you believe in our Constitution, and they fire you because of that, boy, I can't wait for your lawsuit to go against them and how they're going to defend that. You know?
I couldn't wait for that lawsuit either.
Yeah.
Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. You
Yeah.
founded that
Oh, by the way,
organization. Yes.
everybody can join that. All citizens. This
Really?
is a citizens organization. Yeah, everybody can join. You, all your family members. We need you because we need you out there vetting peace officers and sheriffs and chiefs and city councils and saying, you know what? We're just here for one thing. We want to know if you will enforce and stand for the United States Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights.
Now,
What a great opportunity.
what a tremendous opportunity. That is amazing. I would have never thought, I thought that was just a cop thing. You had to wear
No,
a
no.
cowboy hat.
Yeah. If we take a break, I got a real nice one. But
Okay.
normally, normally I don't wear it, but I do
Me too.
keep
I
it
got
on
two of them
special.
behind me.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got one just like that black one. I've got one just like it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Uh, in terms of the pandemic, we know that a lot of unconstitutional things have been done. A doctor in
yeah,
Miami was arrested for providing medical care to the homeless because he abrogated a stay-at-home order. A mother in Meridian, Idaho, was arrested this weekend for taking her children
hmm,
to a playground. But
right.
special privileges have been given to a group of individuals called illegal aliens, uh, where
Yeah,
there is not a need to ask them questions to receive medical treatment or medical care. And in fact, if you ask, then you are invading their privacy. And in addition to that, once you find out as a police officer that they are illegal here, you can't turn them over to ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. I want to get your
yeah.
opinion regarding the special privileges that certain cities and certain states have given to illegal aliens.
Well, the 14th Amendment requires equal protection under the law. The Fifth Amendment uh, echoes the same thing. And I hate to keep this principle, but if we're all created equal, the Constitution, i.e., the Bill of Rights, requires equal treatment under the law. Then, and then, how can we play those games? And again, that's going to breed disrespect. And I'm all for uh, enforcing the law, but these guidelines, known as uh, social distancing and
Yes.
washing our hands. What, are they going to start coming into our homes and making sure we're washing our hands for 20 seconds? If we don't, are we going to be arrested for that? Though that's no different than any of these other guidelines. And so,
Exactly.
you know, if officers are going to continue to enforce stupid laws, they're going to discontent and disrespect in the community, and then they wonder why they're not respected. Well, don't laws that are not. The law must be respectful, and we must conduct ourselves in a respectful manner. But if the laws are not respectable, why on earth, one, do we have them, and two, why would we have any robot enforce? We can program any robot to do that. We're
Exactly.
human. We're supposed to have human feelings, and we're supposed to use that when enforcing the law. That lady should have never been. And
Exactly.
the minister, was it a minister in Florida you were talking about?
The medical doctor in Florida.
Oh, the doctor, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to the minister, but yeah,
Yeah.
people who are helping. I mean, come
Exactly.
on.
But we've
And
watched where police officers have gone in Greenville, Mississippi, to a church,
yeah,
actually staked
yeah,
out a church. And I know the
yeah,
last time police officers staked out a church before, but they staked out a church and then
yeah,
put tickets of $500 on each car for every member that showed up. And that's not
yeah.
giving great respect. But I got to ask you here, you already have police forces which are fighting the pandemic personally. They begin sickness and illnesses and so on. And they're
Right,
battling the constitutional aspects of that as well. So,
right,
in line with this particular process, people know of the police officer as the first door of the courtroom. You all are the first judges that they will ever see, good, bad, and
right,
ugly. And if
right.
I can't get justice with a police officer, can I trust the judicial system at all? Your comments and thoughts on that?
You probably would not be. I would hope that there would still be good people as you go down the line in the justice chain. But if I can't trust the police officers, why would I trust anything after that? And oh, do I abhor police officers who lie on the stand.
Yeah.
And the accused knows and understands that, and so they think, oh, well, the judge is going to believe them, and far too often the judge is very prejudiced going in. He's already on the side of the police officer. Uh, Police officers win, 90% of their cases, and it's a shame that the benefit of the doubt is not given to the citizen and to the accused. And we really need to get to that. So, in
Absolutely.
discussing all of those different situations, the one in Idaho and the one in Florida, in fact, there's been several in Florida, the doctor and the minister who were arrested.
Yes.
But let me just throw this out. I want everybody on your program. I want everybody to consider this. Even and especially the reporters in this country, the media. Which sheriff do you really want in your county? Do you want the sheriff from Franklin County, Maine, Sheriff Nichols, who told his governor, "We will not make our county a police state. We will not act like Nazis. We will enforce the Constitution and treat people fairly." And or do you want the sheriff in California who arrested the surfer, who was out
Yes.
there pretty much all alone? He wasn't hurting a soul, including himself, or the doctor, the peace officer, or the sorry, not peace officer, the law enforcement officer who arrested the doctor, or the sheriff in Florida who arrested the minister. His name was Rodney Howard Brown. The minister's name was Rodney Howard Brown.
Wow.
Now, let me ask everybody, which sheriff do you want? Do you want the one from Maine who said he would not create a police state, that he would uphold his oath of office, keep the Constitution intact, or the sheriff who arrested the minister? Which one do you want in your county? Oh, yeah, you can always say, oh, yeah, well, if there's an emergency, my dear friends, there is no such thing as an emergency clause or an exemption clause for a virus. All of our
Exactly.
rights, all of the time, that's what America. If government gets to arbitrarily make exceptions for the Constitution, none of us are safe. We would never be safe. Government's job is one, to protect liberty, not to create exceptions, to protect liberty at all costs.
Sheriff Mack, this is my final question for you, and I know I run over time with you in this interview, but I really love what you're doing with Constitutional
Thank you.
Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and I'm so good to know that so many Americans can be a part of this. In finality, the District of Columbia's mayor, Muriel Bowser, in the midst of this pandemic, has taken over the only gun shop in the District of Columbia. And I want to ask you, in your opinion, is it constitutional for the police to be both the buyer and seller of guns to citizens and then also license citizens? Is there a problem here?
Yeah, there is a problem. And that there's any separate restrictions on gun ownership because of the pandemic, you have to really question that. That just sounds like more insanity on top of insanity. But yeah, that is a problem. And cops need, again, to be more respectable than that. And
Exactly.
they need to back away. They need to be at arm's length. And I would invite everybody to get a copy of my Supreme Court case when I was sheriff. I'm not sheriff now. I haven't been sheriff over 20 years. But this is the thing. When I was sheriff, I sued the federal government. And that case is something everybody needs to see. It actually has a provision in there that says the Constitution protects us from the crisis of the day.
Sheriff Mack, this will not be the last time we have you on here. We thank God for what you have done. How can people get a part of your organization? How can they support you and endeavor to make certain that our Constitution is protected?
Well, we'd love to have all of you and all of your listeners join us. If you want to just get on our email list, go to CSPOA, CSPOA, CSPOA.org. Stands for Constitutional Sheriffs Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org. Buy the books, become a member. A membership is $50 for 1 year. It's like $4.70 a month. And you're going to be helping us become more powerful in taking this message across the country. Become a member or get on our mailing list. Do whatever you can to help us promote this holy cause of liberty.
God bless you, sir. We thank you so much for coming on tonight. Uh, Not only a great man, but a great sheriff. Sheriff Richard Mack, retired founder of Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org. Go there now, join. It doesn't take very long, it's a very quick process, but do it now because your civil liberties, your constitutional rights are at risk. And I would adore for you to come to some inner cities and talk about this because we are under
Oh, I would
a
love to.
police state. And we're going to try to figure out a way to make that happen, sir. Thank you so much, Sheriff.
Anytime. I love being meeting with you tonight, and I'll be happy and proud to be back.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Mack, if you haven't gone there yet, I experienced the great joy of talking with this man. If you are in Boston, if you're in Chicago, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Atlanta, Dallas, L.A., Seattle, Chicago, wherever you are in these inner cities, you know for a fact that you're in the midst of a police state. And how can we respect police officers if they do this dirt to us now? The good citizens. So I'm going to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to go to CSPOA.org. When we do the YouTube video release later on in the morning, tomorrow morning, it'll be there. You'll be able to click on. You'll have all the contact information about how to get in contact with Sheriff Mack and to actually register to become a member of CSPOA.org. I am telling you, for the sanctity of human life, for the sanctity of your constitutional rights and civil liberties, this is the guy that you want to be a part of, this organization right here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the best in urban conservative talk. I happen to be Ken McClinton of TECN TV. I happen to be the president as well as the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show. This is Open Heart Closed Case Night. Sharnice Milton, my daughter, killed on May 27th. This is what we do every Friday night. We show reverence for her life. Of course, we got a movies this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we are a republic. We are not a democracy, ladies and gentlemen. We are the best in urban conservative news and talk. You can find us at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. We will be back with more of the best right after this.